that last one.
City Clerk certifies publication of the Daily Record on February 27th. Notice for pre-council regular City Council meeting March 3rd, 2015. A current copy of Open Meetings Act is posted in a white binder on the east wall of the legislative chambers.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Omaha City Council. This meeting is conducted in public and by law may only address the topics listed on the published agenda. The council will hear testimony but will not engage in debate of the issues with the public at this meeting. During testimony, it's not appropriate to applaud or convey disapproval. These actions only detract from the formal decorum of the meeting. At this time, please turn off or mute any electronic devices.
Zoning ordinance on final reading plan board attachments. Item number 5, ordinance to rezone property located at 3712 South 13th Street from general commercial district to R4 single family residential district, high density. A, planning board and planning department recommend approval.
Public hearing on number 5 is today. Are there any proponents? Seeing none, any opponents?
Motion to approve. Second.
Public hearing is closed. Roll call.
Milton.
Yes.
Pauls. Thompson is not here. Gurnett.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Passed 6-0. Item number 6, ordinance to amend the boundaries of the major commercial corridor overlay district to incorporate in that district the property located northeast of 84th Street and West Center Road. A, planning board and planning department recommend approval.
Public hearing on number 6 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Motion approved.
Roll call.
Milton.
Yes.
Pauls. Gurnett.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Mr. President.
Yes.
Passed 6-0. Item number 7, ordinance to amend the boundaries of the major commercial corridor overlay district to incorporate in that district property located at 10505 Pacific Street. A, planning board and planning department recommend approval.
Public hearing on number 7 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Second.
Roll call.
Milton.
Yes.
Pauls. Thompson's not here. Grant.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Mr. President.
Yes.
It's passed 6-0. We'll take items 8 through 11. It's one case. 8 is ordinance to rezone property located east of 214th and Francis Streets from Development Reserve District and R4 Single Family Residential District to Development Reserve District. 9 is to rezone to R4 Single Family Residential District, high density. A, planning board and planning department recommend approval. 10 is resolution that the replat transmitted herewith entitled Wingate Ranch 2, replat 1 is hereby approved. A, planning board and planning department recommend approval. And 11 is subdivision agreement is hereby approved.
Public hearings on numbers 8, 9, 10, and 11 are today. Mr. Doyle, proponents.
Good afternoon, Brian Doyle, Camp Doyle and Jobin, 11440 West Center Road, here on behalf of the applicant. If you have any questions, thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Second.
Roll call.
Milton. Pauls. Gurnett. Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Mr. President.
Yes.
8 through 11 are passed 6-0. Pursuant to City Council Rule 70, agenda item number 12 shall be laid over 2 weeks for publication and public hearing. Liquor, item number 13, the California Bar, 510, 512 North 33rd Street. Class C liquor license, new application, O location.
Public hearing on number 13 is today. Proponents, please. Mr. Kelly.
Mr. President, Mike Kelly, 7134 Pacific. Oddly enough, I'm here with Darrell Hutton, a longtime opponent of mine, who has now seen the light and is now having me represent him. He is taking over the California Bar, one of the, I think, third longest bar in the city of Omaha, 1937. So he's obviously going to keep it as a neighborhood bar, and he's here if you have any questions, and he's a favorite in the neighborhood, so I doubt we'd have any opposition. With that, we're here for any questions.
Thank you.
You're not admitting that you were being there in
37.
No, I'm not saying I was.
You were aware of the history.
I'm aware of the history. I'm a history buff, Councilman.
Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Motion approved.
Roll call.
Melton.
Yes.
Pauls.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Mr. President.
Yes.
Jerem passed the second time for a potential conflict of interest. 13 is adopted. 501 passage. Yeah. Item number 14.
We'll be watching.
Kiefer's Bar and Grill, 9523, 9525 Q Street, Class C liquor license application, new location.
I'm Mike Keeper. I'm the applicant.
Thank you. This is public hearing on number 14.
Yes.
Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Motion approved.
Roll call.
Milton.
Yes.
Pauls.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Mr. President.
Yes.
Adopted.
Thank you.
6-0. Item 15 and 16 we'll take together. 15 is Famous Dave's, 120 Ann Street, Class I liquor license, new application, O location. 16 is a catering at the same applicant for the same location.
Hi, I'm Kelly Yakupek.
Okay. Public hearings are on number 15 and 16 are today. Proponents, please. You want to just say your name and address again?
Kelly Yakupek, 12020 Ann Street.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Second.
Roll call.
Milton.
Yes.
Pauls.
Yes.
Gurnett. Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Mr. President.
Yes.
15 and
Thanks.
16 are adopted 6-0. Item number 17, Thai Aaron Cuisine, 555 North 155th Plaza, Class I liquor license application, location.
Hi, I'm Tammy Down.
Everybody's on the ball today.
I'm really anxious to get into
First,
it.
I'll,
You should explain the process so everybody understands.
yeah, I'll call up the item first, and I'll ask for proponents and then opponents. So, this is number 17.
That's okay, you're fine.
That's a public hearing today, and we'll start with proponents.
I'm Tammy Down.
And your address?
15314 Meredith Avenue.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Second.
Roll call.
Milton. Pauls. Gurnett.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Mr. President.
Yes.
17 is adopted 6-0.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Item number 18 is Cackeries McKee, 4501 Abbott Drive. Request permission for addition to their present Class I liquor license of an area to the west of the existing second-level south satellite area in the airport.
Public hearing on number 18 is today. Proponents, please.
Pam Bart,
Michelle Wetzel.
And your address, please?
4501 Abbott Drive.
Same address?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Move approval.
Second, roll call.
Milton.
Yes.
Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Mr. President.
Yes.
18 is approved, 7-0. Consent agenda. Any member of the city council may cause an item placed on the consent agenda to be removed. Items removed consent agenda taken up by city council may be following the consent agenda in the order in which they were removed unless otherwise provided by city council rules of order.
Public hearing on agenda item number 19 was held on February 24th.
Second.
Roll call.
Milton. Paul. Thompson. Gurnett. Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Mr. President.
Yes.
On the resolution consent agenda, we had a request to remove items 20 and 21.
Public hearings on agenda items number, well, do you want to start with those, or do you want to start with the other items first?
We'll do all the others first.
Okay. Public hearings on agenda items number 22 through 32 are today. If you wish to address the city council regarding these items, please come to the microphone, indicate the agenda item number you wish to address, identify yourself by name, address, who you represent, and if you are a proponent or an opponent. Seeing none, public hearings are closed.
Motion approved.
Roll call.
Milton. Pauls. Thompson. Gurnett.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
22 through 32 are adopted 7-0. Item number 20, resolution that the contract with F&B Constructors for OPW 52736 being Greater Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau renovation is hereby approved.
Public hearing on number 20 is today. Proponents, please. Mr. Miller.
Yes, Dean Miller from the Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau, 1001 Farnham Street. Just here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Jerem.
Now, this came up earlier today in our Parks and Convention and Visitors Bureau committee meeting and then again at pre-council. In looking into this, it appears that the lease that the city has for this space expires January 31 of 2016, and that lease requires 6 months advance notice of that expiration date to give your intent to renew. Otherwise, it expires then and it becomes a month-to-month arrangement. The issue being if we're spending $52,400 in tax dollars on a lease that expires potentially on January 31st, and we're in a period now where we have a vacancy in the executive directorship of that department, are we vulnerable to later on, if this isn't renewed for 3 more years, in which it would make sense to do these tenant improvements, that we've essentially thrown out $52,400 for a very short-term benefit, perhaps only this late spring through end of the year use. So you'll have to draw your own conclusions. I believe that the acting director will be our deputy director, Dean Miller, who's here with us today, and he's told me it's his intent to recommend to whoever the new director is that's selected that they do renew this space. But whether we'll have a new director and be able to make that decision in the time allotted or reach some other accommodation at this point here today, we don't know. So we're being asked to take a leap of faith. You know, I guess you'll have to come to your own determination, but I would feel more comfortable if we just waited a little while, but you have to reach your own conclusion, I guess.
Thank you. No further lights. Ms.
Trying to hit my light.
Ms. Melton.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Miller, it's your intent to recommend that the lease be renewed. Who determines that? Is that the director's determination, or is it a combination of the mayor and the county? I mean, who actually has the final say in whether that lease is extended?
Just Dean Miller with the Omaha CVB. It would be the mayor and obviously the appointment. I will say in the contract there's an automatic 3-year renewal, so that's to 2019. Of course, it does have the 6-month out, which will happen sometime in June or July, and I anticipate someone being in place. One thing I'll say about the Visitor Center, it is located on 10th Street, and if you look at our attractions from the bridge to the Lewis and Clark Visitor Center to the Convention Center, Old Market, all of the museums, all the way up to the zoo. I mean, 10th Street is a corridor for the visitors. So I have a hard time believing, we've been there 7 years, that we'd be going anywhere.
And in that 3-year renewal, do we still have to negotiate the price, or is the price already locked into the renewal of the lease?
The price is locked in and it automatically renews for the 3 years.
Okay. And so the mayor would have the ultimate call, I guess, on this. And the mayor is recommending these improvements. So I guess I would find it hard to believe that the mayor would recommend that we spend $50,000 on improvements and then not renew the lease in 6 months.
I think you're exactly right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
I would agree with you that makes common sense, but I've seen some goofy things happen around these parts. So to tell you the truth, I'm kind of leaning a little bit towards what Councilman Jerem is saying, but maybe what we could do is just lay it over for a week or two and then just get a clear signal from the mayor and maybe from the landlord saying that everything's good. It might be as simple as something like that. Would 2 weeks really make that much difference to you?
I think I could get it to you in a week, 1 week.
Okay. Perhaps just lay this over. Okay, I make that a motion then.
Second.
Motion and second. No further lights. Roll call.
Do you want to continue the public hearing?
Continue public hearing, because he may have some new things to say.
Okay. Milton?
Yes.
Pauls? Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Mr. President?
Yes.
Late over 1 week.
Thank you.
7-0. Item number 21, resolution that the City Council hereby approves amendment number 3 of the professional services agreement with George Butler Associates for construction administration services for OPW 51995 CSO being the Coal Creek CSO 204 sewer separation project. Mr. Pry is hereby approved.
Public hearing number 21 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Jerem.
Yeah, in weeks and months have gone by now since we've begun to discuss what is the city doing, what is the city's plan for addressing employment and contracting issues in the city. And they've kind of combined lately into what are we doing to address really in a meaningful way a lack of opportunity in portions of our city and by certain residents of our city to access the American dream and having a job, paying your bills. And that's morphed into crime prevention discussions and what is our community really doing to address in a meaningful way the crime issues that we have in certain concentrated areas of our city, which far eclipse other parts. And so I've made statements about having hesitancy, and others have too, about what are we going to do with these CSO contracts, since they're the ones now that are coming in greater intensity, that provide potential for addressing those issues, both on the contractor side, which some people are working feverishly on, I believe, and then on the worker side / crime prevention side that me and some others are working on. And I said that basically I would have a hard time voting to approve these until I was presented with something tangible that addressed those workforce issues, crime prevention issues, poverty issues that we've all been talking about, and we've all expressed, I believe, one meeting in January, unanimity that we needed to do something and to stop talking and start doing and trying things. So in my view, you might be saying, well, why, Jerem, would you be thinking about voting for this today? Well, first, I think it's unrealistic to expect that you can make a significant impact on each and every contract that comes before the city, that there has to be a threshold where the cost benefits really and opportunities that exist are such that if you're under a threshold, then what can you do on that? And I think with a $237,000 contract, with the time that it's going to take to get something up and going on the contractor side, bonding, capacity, capitalization, mentoring on the finance side. So on the contracting side, I don't see that would be a reason to hold this one up. And on the workforce and crime prevention, my own personal view is if contracts are under $500,000, it would be really hard to create that opportunities to address those things. So we do have another item on the agenda today, and we'll talk about that one as it comes up. It's on first reading today, but because of the needs of a colleague on the council to travel for personal, family, serious health issue, we'll be laying that public hearing over for 4 weeks. But I am going to go ahead and support this one today, and I wanted to give my explanation so that people who have been talking to me and actually now telling me they're counting on me to try to do something and to, put our words into action, know why I'm voting the way I'm voting today. So with that, I would make the motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a question real quick. Mr. Stubbe or someone who may know is this a sole source contract? Have we broken this? Has this one been one of those contracts where there are some opportunities for small emerging business?
Yeah, this is professional services related to a...
Your name, sir?
Bob Stubbe, Public Works. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. This is a professional services related to a project that will be coming in front of you probably within the next few weeks related to a construction project. So this is specifically the administration of the, essentially the contract administration for that particular project. So it'll be pre-construction meetings, shop drawing review, project closeout, those types of things. So this is essentially an amendment to a professional services contract that was awarded to this particular consultant back in 2011.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Stubbe. Just very quickly, and I've been on the other side of this, working on the contractor piece of this to try and get more opportunities for small and emerging businesses and contractors in some of the areas where we have where the census tract or the zip code area has 30% poverty or higher. Been working on that for quite a while now. A little concerned about where we are in the process. I think, with all due respect to those who are involved, many of them are working to break off some of the contracts even as we speak. But there needs to be more of a policy as to how we do that, and we're not at that point yet. I'm a little disappointed that we're not further down the road, but I do intend to push even harder for us to get something going so that the contractor community, especially in the areas where we have 30% poverty or higher, can have an opportunity either to gain contracts or to get training as workers. So in tandem, we have been working this for a little bit of time now, and we're going to continue to move forward with this. We're going to have something in place hopefully in the next couple of months. If it's not in the next couple of months, I'm going to be really disappointed and have a few more things to say about it. But at this point in time, I think everybody is working honestly to try and get something accomplished, and we'll see what happens in the coming months. But I do recognize that there have been efforts to break down some of these contracts, but we need to have something that's a little more formal, that raises the bar a little bit as well, too, because 4% is unacceptable, and we really need to do a lot better than that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Milton. Yes. Pauls. Thompson.
Yes.
Kernat.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
21 is adopted 7-0. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7F, agenda items number 33 through 34 should be laid for 3 weeks for publication and public hearing. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7D, the public hearing on agenda items number 35 through 36 shall be held on the second reading. Ordinances on second reading. Item number 37, ordinance to amend Section 23-177 by amending the pay range for the employment classification titled Payroll Manager.
Public hearing on number 37 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item number 38, ordinance to amend Section 23-177 by adding the employment classification entitled Assistant Payroll Manager.
Public hearing on number 38 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item number 39, ordinance to amend Section 23-177 by changing the salary for the employment classification known as City Treasurer.
Public hearing on number 39 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item number 40, ordinance to amend Omaha Municipal Code Section 30-263 to reconcile conflict from previously adopted amendments concerning the evaluation of the consumer fireworks permit application and procedures and reestablish the standard adopted in March 2013 to clarify eligibility criteria.
Public hearing on number 40 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item number 41, special ordinance levying a special tax for cutting and clearing weeds, grass, and worthless vegetation, group number 2015-01.
Public hearing on number 41 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item number 42, special ordinance levying a special tax for cutting and clearing weeds, grass, and worthless vegetation, group number 2015-02.
Public hearing on number 42 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item number 43, special ordinance levying a special tax for litter removal, group number 2015-03.
Public hearing on number 43 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Pursuant to City Council Rule 70, the public hearing on agenda items 44 through 45 shall be held on a third reading. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7C, the public hearing on agenda items 46 through 54 shall be held on the second reading. On the supplement, additional ordinance on first reading, item number 56, ordinance to create a city workforce development initiative through a city construction contract allowance program established through a new section in Chapter 10.
I think we have a motion from Mr. Jerem on this one.
Yes, I just referenced a few minutes ago to the need for a colleague on the council to travel to attend to a sibling with a serious health issue out of town. And given that this proposal impacts that council member Gray's district as well as Gurnant's and others potentially, but yours in a significant way potentially, I think it's critical that you be present to participate if possible in the public hearing. And so I've asked colleagues to support a 3-week layover. However, the clerk in his infinite wisdom has pointed out to me that there's a cell tower debate scheduled in 3 weeks that he anticipates may generate significant number of people wishing to testify. So he's asked the council to consider that and maybe go 4 weeks. So is that okay with everybody? Because I had talked about 3, but all right. So my motion would be to lay over the second reading.
Actually, your motion should be to set the second reading and public hearing on March 31st.
That's my motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Milton. Pauls. Thompson's out of the chambers. Gurnett. Gray. Jerem. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion adjourned.
Roll call.
Milton. Pauls. Gurnett. Gray. Jerem. Mr. President.
Yes.
It is 2:30. Throwing stuff around, huh?
Went that way.
For spacious